Doubt is natural, but God calls us to step forward in faith, even when the path isn't clear. Welcome back to SSQJ Chronicles, the space where Black empowerment, faith, and life lessons intersect. I'm your girl SSQJ, and I'm glad you are here. We are in week 3 of Spring Forward, Purpose and Calling. We have talked about discovering your God-given purpose. We've talked about the lessons buried inside your milestones. And now we arrive at the moment that every single person who has ever tried to walk in purpose has faced. The moment when doubt creeps in, when resistance rises up, when the voice inside your head or the voices around you start saying, "Who do you think you are? What makes you think this is going to work? It's too late. You ain't ready." I mean, be proper. You're not ready. You've already failed before. So what you gonna try again for? Sound familiar? Well, today we are going to talk about that. All of it. Because doubt and resistance are not signs that you are on the wrong path. Sometimes they are signs that you are exactly on the right one. I want to start with a reframe because I think we have been taught to treat doubt like a character flaw. Like if you were really faithful, really committed, really sure of your calling, you would never doubt. But that is not what scripture shows us. That is not what history shows us. And honestly, that is not what life shows us either. Moses doubted. He stood at the burning bush and said, "But who am I to do this?" Gideon doubted. Jeremiah doubted. Even John the Baptist from the prison cell sent messages to ask Jesus, "Are you really the one?" Doubt is human. It is the natural response of a finite mind trying to comprehend an infinite calling. The question is not whether you will doubt. The question is whether you will let doubt have the final word. Because doubt leads you to prayer, to deeper discernment, to leaning harder into God. The doubt is actually doing this job. It's the doubt that leads to paralysis, to silence, to shrinking back permanently. That's the one we have to address. Let's talk about internal doubt first. The ones that live in your own head, in your own chest, in the quiet moments when no one else is around. For some of us in the Black community, those internal doubts have deep roots. They were planted early by sisters that told us our dreams were too big, by classrooms that underestimated us, by environments where we had to work twice as hard just to be seen as half as capable, by generations of survival mode that trained us to be practical, to be cautious, to not get too far ahead of ourselves. And so, when purpose starts calling, when God starts stirring something in you that feels bigger than what you've been given permission to dream, the internal voice says, "Stay small, stay safe, don't risk it." I want to pause right here for a brief side note. In this context, staying safe is actually dangerous. I'm let this sink in. Staying safe is actually dangerous. I ain't got time to elaborate. That might be another short video. But let's get back to the topic at hand. I want to speak to that voice today, not to shame it, because it came from somewhere real, but to challenge it, because the God who called you did not call you to stay small. The God who formed you before you were even born, before you was even conceived, or as Bishop Pierce say, before your mama and your poppy, okay, came together. Before all that, before all of that, God did not make us mistake about your capacity. You were built for this, even when you don't feel like it. Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about the external obstacles, because they are real and we are not going to pretend otherwise. For our community, external resistance often comes wrapped in particular packages, limited access to resources, systems designed to make the climb harder, environments that don't always celebrate black excellence until it can no longer be ignored. Relationships, sometimes even within our own families and communities, where people project their own fears and limitations onto your calling. These are not excuses, they are contexts. And naming them honestly is not complaining, it's clarity. Because when you know what you're actually up against, you can stop blaming yourself for the resistance and start strategizing around it. You can stop internalizing systematic barriers as personal failures and start seeing them for what they are, because a spade is a spade. You hear me? And then, like every generation of our ancestors who built something extraordinary with less than they deserve, you can decide to move anyway, to move forward and higher. So, how do you actually navigate doubt and resistance without letting it stop you? Here are 3 practices that I keep coming back to. The first is discernment through stillness. We live in a loud world. There is always noise, opinions, comparisons, timelines, pressures. And when you are trying to hear God's direction about your purpose, noise is the enemy of clarity. You have to create still moments, intentionality, consistently. Whether that is prayer, journaling, meditation on scripture, or simply sitting in silence. Stillness is where God speaks and doubt loses its volume. The second is community accountability, where you are not designed, you nor I were not designed to carry your calling alone. We weren't designed to carry our calling alone. Nobody. Find the people, if it's just 1 or 2, who are called to something greater than themselves and who will speak truth into your life. Not people who just tell you what you want to hear. People who will hold you accountable to what God said, especially when you are tempted to forget. All right. The third is trusting the process over the timeline. One of the greatest forms of resistance is impatience. We want purpose to unfold on our schedule. Let me say that one more time. We want purpose to unfold on our schedule, but God's timing is not our timing. And what feels like a delay is often preparation. That season that feels like nothing is happening is frequently the season where the most essential work is being done beneath the surface. So trust it. Trust the process. There is something I deeply believe, and I want to plant this in you today. Resistance is not always opposition. Sometimes resistance is preparation. Think about it. In the natural world, a seed does not grow without pressure. A muscle does not strengthen without resistance. Gold does not become refined without fire. And purpose, real God given, community changing, world changing purpose, does not emerge without the process of being pressed, scratched, and tested. The resistance you are feeling right now might not be a sign to stop. It might be a sign that you are close. That what God is building in you is significant enough to be worth the fight. Frederick Douglass said it plainly. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Our community has always known this truth in our bones. We've come from people who refuse to let resistance be the end of the story. And neither will you. I want to anchor us in a word before we close. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 tells us that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Not the certainty of things already proven, not the comfort of things already in hand, the substance of things hoped for. Stepping into purpose, especially when doubt is loud and resistance is real, is an act of faith. It is choosing to move forward on the basis of what God said, even when what you see doesn't yet confirm it. So, in other words, God said what He said. God said what He said, even when the math ain't mathing. That is not recklessness. That is obedience. And obedience is always honor when you're obeying God, not when you're obeying your flesh. But okay, let me stay focused. Here is your reflection for this week. Sit with it. Really sit with it. Where is doubt or fear holding you back from stepping into your purpose? And how can faith guide you forward? Let me say it one more time. Where is doubt or fear holding you back from stepping into your purpose? And how can faith guide you forward? Be honest with yourself. Name the doubt. Name the fear. Write it down if you need to. And then ask God directly, specifically, what one step forward looks like from here. What is one step forward looks like? What one step forward looks like from here. Drop your thoughts in the comfortable, if you're comfortable with that, only if that. This community is a safe space, and your vulnerability might be exactly what someone else needs to take their own step forward. I am so proud of everyone who has been on this journey with me this month, on this series. We have done some real work together, and we ain't done yet. Next week, week 4, the finale of our April series, And it's the one I have been building toward all month long. We are talking about taking bold steps forward, intentional steps, faith filled steps, steps that say, I don't have everything figured out, but I trust the one who does, and I am moving anyway. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you subscribe and share this series with someone in your life who is standing at the edge of their purpose, trying to find the courage to leap. Because sometimes all it takes is knowing that someone else believed enough to move first. And this has been another is QJ Chronicle.